match week 28. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to start with Premier League, where we'll give more Forest Flowers talk, plus preview of the season's first Cup final coming up this weekend. Halftime, we got a World Cup-related weekly What If. Around the World, MLS Minute, and UCL Champions League preview. Stoppage time, Ivan Toney's best bets, and everyone's favorite segment, GOAWs. Now, time to welcome in this week's panel of beauties. Let's see, who should we start with? Let's start with Mr. Tommy McGunner. Now, Tommy, if you were a Vegas bookmaker setting the odds for Tommy McCabe having at least 2 shots on target next weekend against North Carolina FC, what are you setting that line at?
First admission, I don't understand betting lines that well, nor do I bet on myself. Let me make that very clear.
Very clear. Let's emphasize that. Yep.
It gotta be like 1,000 to 1.
I was gonna say plus 600. Okay, plus 1,000. I mean, we're coming off a week where you did have a shot on goal, so
Yeah,
let's be very clear about that.
That I'm factoring that into it.
Okay. All right. Keep that in mind. Anybody doing individual bets on USL Championship next weekend? Shout out, Mikey. Next, we got Mr. Mitchell Goulet, aka Overtime Mitch. I know what everyone wants me to ask you right now, but I'm going to hold off for a week. I want to make sure that we have I want to make sure the whole gang's here. I feel like we need the whole gang before we get into that question on Pokemon. So instead, I want to ask you how the NWSL Challenge Cup final went.
I did like a half hour prep for that. Okay.
Listen, keep those notes.
Okay. NWSL Challenge Cup was very cool. Got a hell of a lot of access to some of the legends of the game, Marta, Trinity Rodman, Barbara Banda, etc. And it was a good game. I like Washington's roster, like top to bottom. I think they're really talented. Hal Hirschfeld, to me, is like one of the more exciting players in this league, and I expect to see her in U.S. women's national team conversation over the next couple of years. She's good for a yellow card a game, and like that's kind of what I love about her. Just does not stop. But overall, like the game itself was excellent. I sat on the goal line for penalties as well. And if you go back and you watch the penalties and you see somebody with a bright yellow vest on the goal line behind the LED boards, that's your boy. So it was a good experience. More to come.
Sounds good. Shout out NWSL giving you some love there in overtime. All right, Tyler Terrence, what is on your dance card this week? And give us a quick sales pitch on why people ought to tune in. Excuse me.
I've got some CONCACAF Champions Cup for Fox Sports 1 out in LA. Be working with Mo Adu. We're doing the FC Cincinnati Tigres game on Tuesday night, and then we've got the Vancouver Monterrey game on Wednesday night. Cincinnati's at 10:30 Eastern time on FS1. That's the second of the doubleheader, and then Vancouver Monterrey is the first game of the doubleheader on Wednesday. I mean, Cincinnati Tigres, like, why wouldn't you tune in? I mean, one of the best stories in soccer. Guido Pizarro started and played all 90 minutes last weekend. And then 2 days later, after Veljko Paunovic, who Chicago Fire fans will remember, gets fired, Guido Pizarro retires and then is thrown into the coaching position. And he got a result in his first game on the road against Cincinnati, and then they won over the weekend at 1-0. And so now it's 1-1 headed down to Mexico. Should be a great atmosphere at Estadio Universitario. And then Vancouver and Monterrey, they're actually playing at Santos Laguna Stadium because I believe there's some renovations or constructions going on to Monterrey Stadium, but that should be a good one just because Jesper Sorensen's Vancouver Whitecaps are atop the table in the Western Conference, and Monterrey are beasts, as we know. And Sergio Ramos should be making an appearance in that game, which will always be fun.
Sounds good. I know he's been scoring goals left and right down there. And maybe Monterrey, maybe the stadium construction is related to the World Cup, perhaps. I don't know. Just a guess. All right. Well, let's get a few quick words from our friends over at Kick It before we get down and dirty with the Premier League. Tyler, what do you got for us there?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Kick It is, as we've told you time and time again, it is the best lawn game that you could possibly acquire for this upcoming summer and for the upcoming warmer months. Head over to kickit.net and you'll find yourself with a nice little discount if you enter the code SAM25 on the basic soccer tennis set. Anybody can play it. The ball is designed for those of you who have a poor touch. So everybody except for me, Mitchell, and Tommy, leaving somebody out on purpose. And yeah, get it before this offer expires and before you regret this for the rest of your life.
All right, good shout. Listen, my touch is all I have left. Don't take that from me.
I played with you for a season or two.
Do not take that from me. All right, let's move on. Premier League time. Some interesting results this weekend. Nottingham Forest came away with the quintessential NunoBall 1-0 win over Manchester City. United and Arsenal fought to a 1-1 draw. Spurs, Bournemouth, also a draw. Brighton beat Fulham in a game that had like zero margin for error between the two of them. And then just quickly, right before we got on the air here, West Ham lost to Newcastle 1-0. Those are some of the results. There's obviously some other ones. So Tyler, you've been talking a lot. We'll go to Mitch. What result from the weekend stood out to you most?
You asked me a question.
No, I know. But then I was going to throw it to you, and I was like, wait, no, I can't do that again. This is how my brain works. Getting an inside look behind the curtain.
That was good. Low scoring weekend. Highest scoring games were 4 goals apiece in the Liverpool, Southampton, and Tottenham, Bournemouth, which is not good for you, I'm assuming.
Don't love that. Did not love this weekend.
Figured. I guess the most important fixture is the most disappointing for myself, and that was Arsenal drawing 1-1 to United. That was a tough watch. Let's talk about it. The free kick against the run of play. I was watching this with a bunch of friends in my friend's living room, and I don't want to say I called it, but I was like, hey, if we are ever going to concede a goal against the run of play, it's a Bruno Fernandes free kick from 28 yards out, in which Raya was like really weirdly positioned. I didn't like his positioning on that. All to say, like, great free kick, and he has that in his locker, but just a fucking deflating goal to give up, especially going right into half where we had controlled the game for most of that first half. But we looked toothless. We really didn't look like we wanted to go win a title. It's been decided for some time now, but it's these small twists of the knife that hurt a little bit differently each time and each week. So overall, a pretty disappointing game. I don't have much left.
Tyler's dying to say something right now.
I mean, I don't know why this is bothering you so much in a different way each time. Like, you guys are riddled with injuries. You weren't winning this title to begin with, and
but it's not. But like, we could have taken a small moral victory and points victory from this weekend. We should have.
You did take a moral victory. Declan Rice was shushing a 15th place side in a title race that they're not going to win. You did take a moral
Rice
victory.
Scored a beautiful goal and played.
You did take a moral victory. You can have all the moral victories you want. That's a big point against the big. I don't
count that as a moral victory. I count that as one of our better players playing well and scoring
big
goal.
Point.
But I figured we would beat this United side. That's the, I guess, the standard that I would hold us to, a second place team beating a 15th place team, especially even given our current health status. But man, that was a tough watch.
A couple things I'll add there. Like, not only did you not win, but like Raya, apart from that free kick, which I don't know what he was doing on that, he actually had quite a good game. And
an excellent game. Yeah.
Right.
Huge saves. We gave up some really dangerous opportunities off of, a handful of errant passes and just kind of defensive lapses. But like, everybody played fine. You can't point to one player and say that they played really poorly, but nobody played well apart from Declan Rice. Nobody played like they wanted to go score goals. Nobody played like they wanted to take defenders on and make something happen in the final third. Everybody kind of wants someone else to make it happen. And that's been a theme all year.
Yeah, you guys look like you're missing your 3 best attacking players.
Oh, that can't be it. No, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, Xerxes and Hoyland, by the way.
Xerxes ass. Xerxes
so bad. Every time he gets the ball, like, my assumption is that he's going to give it away. And I'm right. About 97% of the time. It's crazy how many needless, stupid giveaways he has. It's like he does not care.
In his defense, he's asked to play up top by himself against the 2 best center backs in the league, And they kind of had him in hell for 60 minutes. If he had scored that little back heel, he would have been vindicated. Like the entire performance would have been fine, and I would have torn what little hair I have left out. Like the dude, like if he had scored that little back heel and it had dribbled through Raya's legs, oh, that would have been so uniquely frustrating. But he didn't, and I think he had one of his worst performances that I've watched from him.
He didn't, and he should have scored that.
Who would you rather take on your team, Nicolas Pepe or Xerxes?
Pepe. Yeah. Pepe was a bit of a lightning rod for criticism during his time with us, and but he also was that type of guy who would vindicate his entire shocking performance with one moment of brilliance. So that's why he came to mind. Sure, I like that comparison. He would have that moment of brilliance, though.
Yes,
Xerxes does not.
Xerxes doesn't. Yeah, Xerxes
no.
right.
No, and maybe he might down the line if given a couple more chances.
Yeah. By the way, we have somebody in the chat, and by the way, if you're not signed up on the Patreon, which is just a cheap little $3.99 a month, then what are you doing? Because you can have access to the chat while we're recording. And Mayan says 2 best center backs in the league ? And I had the same thought when Virgil van Dijk does actually exist. So I don't really know exactly.
You said 2 weeks ago on this program
the best defensive team in the league. I didn't say you had the 2 best center backs.
Would you say that you have the 2 best center backs in the league?
I would say we have one of the best 2 center backs.
Okay. I'll amend my statement and say we have the best center back duo.
Fine. Words are important, Mitchell.
Certainly are.
Romero and Van de Ven are up there as well. But
what the fuck are you smoking?
They are when they're healthy. I'll stand by that. Tommy, you haven't really said anything about this United Arsenal game. Are you just trying to pretend like it didn't happen?
Maybe. Yeah, I thought United should have won the game.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I mean, especially the way they played in the second half. First half, Arsenal were the better team. Second half, United had the chances, a lot of them, and Raya played very well. I'll give them that. Yeah, I don't know if this is too big of a statement, but does it feel like right now things just are kind of boring because the title race is done? And
I was just thinking about that. I was like, we're spending a lot of time on this game that quite literally means absolutely nothing. And I'm not like bashing the fact that we're spending time on that. It's just because it's an Arsenal Manchester United game in March that means diddly squat, which is just depressing. The game that mattered was Forest and City. I mean, that was the game that mattered in terms of the actual table and things that are going to impact. And same could be said for Newcastle and these teams who are battling for top 4.
Yeah, which we'll get to in just a second. But it's basically at this point, I don't know if we've said this before or not, but like Manchester United and Tottenham season, they're over other than Europa. That's the only thing that matters. Like winning Europa is the only thing we have. That's it. Like maybe we could claw our way up into like a Conference League spot at by the end of the season, maybe if everybody stays healthy. But really, it's just about winning Europa, and that's it. So I don't know.
No. Like, dude, you are severely drunk if you think they are getting anywhere close to Conference League when third through 12 is all in front of you, and I would say 3rd through 9 are all kind of competing for Champions League.
Wait, hold on. Back up.
That's the fun part of the season, I think, left.
Back up. What was the TikTok dance that Sam needed to do? Was it if Spurs finished ahead of Forest? Didn't he say at the beginning of the season, he was like, I bet my life.
No. It wasn't at the beginning of the season. It was somewhere in the middle of all that injury nonsense. And you guys caught me after about, a few too many adult sodas, and you tricked me.
Oh, we caught you in a situation where you were inebriated and made a bad decision. Got it.
Made an unsolicited bet with nobody really.
Right. What was the upside to this
well, I want to know what the punishment should be if Forest end up doubling your total of points for the season.
I'm not making any bets because I'm already on the hook for a bet where there's no upside. What's the upside? Give me some reason to make this bet.
Double or nothing. I don't know.
Content.
I will do double or nothing. I don't even know how many points.
No. It's like 17 points, right? Forest would have to win the rest of their games, and you would not be able to lose one.
All right, it's double or nothing. So we shook on it. All right. Well, let's talk about Forest and City, because that game probably was the game of the weekend. Forest just keep doing what Forest do. I called it a quintessential NunoBall win. Tommy, you had some thoughts on sort of you did a little soccer nerd breakdown of how it actually went down. What were your thoughts of the game itself? This 1-0 win for Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, I think Forest were interesting. Like, still did some of their kind of staple sit back counter on an opponent that wants to dominate the game, but I think they put pressure slightly higher up the field and were able to turn City over and create chances from that. But yeah, I think it was their game plan to a T against a team that you would normally think would have some like tactical nuances or like plan B to overcome their low block, but they didn't. So yeah, I think another example where City is getting outclassed right now. And I saw a stat this week that in their last 30 games, they've lost 15. Prior to those 30 games, it took them, I think, 181 games to lose 15 times.
Ooh.
Jesus.
Going back all the way to like December 2021.
Ooh.
And by the way, for what it's worth, I mean, why wouldn't you put pressure on this City team? Like, they're going to cough up the ball. You know what I mean? Like, they'll show Liverpool that level of respect. They'll even show Arsenal that level of respect. But like, they're not going. Like, why would you show City respect at this point in time? They've proven time and time again over the past 4 months that they're prone to just pissing it away, and they're not going to break you down the way that they typically would if you're going to press further up the field.
Yeah. I thought the game actually had the feel of one where Kevin De Bruyne coming in the 70th minute or whatever time it was. I was like, maybe this is a game that KDB could actually have an impact on. It felt like really slow. Maybe he could pick out some sort of telling pass. Just nope, nothing.
I've had to lose 3 or 4 bets betting City on live bullets already this year to learn that we don't live in that world anymore.
Yeah, it's done. I still kind of think of them that way. Like they're gonna turn it on. No, I don't think they have.
There's always that voice in the back of your head that looks at the names on that roster, and you're like, no.
And look at the juice. Right? Look at City plus 350 now.
Yeah. And the fact that they did it every single time.
They've done it so many times in a row for 5 or 6 years.
They went through a period where they would have this fucking gimmick where they would concede first, and then they would come back and win 3-1 every single time. Whether it was a League Cup game, whether it was a Premier League game, whether it was a Champions League game, they loved conceding first, then coming back to win 3-1. It was like night and day. But those times are done.
For now, for this season, I think I'm willing to say for this season, we'll see what how many billions are spent this summer, legally or otherwise. And of course, we still have the 115 charges to deal with, but whatever. We've talked about that enough at this point. Have we given Forest enough of their flowers at this point?
I don't know. If we don't, then Peaches is going to come on here and kick our ass.
That's right. I mean, they're a Champions. They feel like a Champions League team. Like they've had some dips, and they just keep bouncing.
I also think if they somehow manage to keep most of the squad together next year, they would be like a dangerous team to keep an eye on in Champions League next year.
Do you think with them, let's say they get Champions League and they lose a couple guys, but nothing really? How close are they to the relegation zone next year?
Dealing with the extra layer of games.
Yeah, it was like Union Berlin.
Yeah,
when they made Champions League.
That's a huge step to take from battering a Premier League in as we've established, down year, and then going up to like Champions League and competing at that level while you're also in 2 other different competitions, sometimes 3. Like that's.
Yeah.
Is there a world in which Forest doesn't? I mean, like obviously, mathematically, is still very much possible, but just from the eye test, I mean, they would have to drop to 6th, which they're 5 points clear of right now. Are we comfortable saying that they're qualifying for Champions League this year?
I'm pretty comfortable. Who are the teams that would jump them?
Their schedule's favorable too.
That's what I look at. Yeah,
I think their schedule, they can get it done.
We talk a lot of shit about Chelsea, but they're in 4th place. Like
Ipswich United, Villa, Everton, at Spurs, easy dub. Home against Brentford, at Palace, home against Leicester, at West Ham, home against Chelsea.
But
I mean, it's favorable. It's not the easiest in the world, but it's favorable.
Mm-hmm.
I like them to finish in the top 5. We're getting 5. Yeah, I feel good about that. I mean, like Chelsea, City, Newcastle, Brighton, Villa.
So
guess-
to my Champions League point, Union Berlin, I think, was in Champions League last year, right?
Yes.
They finished tied for the relegation playoff in Bundesliga and missed out on it by goal difference. And then you look at Villa this year, down in 10th. Like, I think these are teams that when they like plan out their future, and no one's going to like stop them from prematurely getting success. But I think there's a case. Same with Luton. I don't think Luton planned to be promoted last season, and now they're in the relegation zone.
Yeah,
like
they might.
I mean, what did Newcastle finish last year? Like 10th, 11th?
Closer to mid-table. I think it was like 8th or 9th.
Yeah, it was similar.
They're another example. Like, they were flirting with relegation, and then
But they also had, I mean, you know, they had Sandro Tonali dealing with gambling suspension for 9 months. They had a whole host of injuries.
they were 7th last year,
Oh, not as bad as I thought.
tied with United.
By the way, totally random side note here, but I was just going down a rabbit hole, and you were just talking about, you know, tied on goal differential type thing. Did you know that for the women's Euros coming up, that if you're tied on all metrics in your group to decide who goes through, they just simply do a penalty kick shootout as opposed to doing like yellow cards or like, you know, whatever dumb thing that they could possibly come up with. So they literally would roll the ball out for one penalty kick shootout between the two teams who are tied on like everything.
Interesting.
I've had to do that as in like a
Youth.
granted. Let me phrase that these are very opposite spectrums, but from an entertainment standpoint, it was sick. It was the USDA Academy playoffs to go to the national semifinal or quarterfinal, and we were tied on everything, and we didn't play each other in the last game, and all the games started and ended at the same time, and they took the two teams that were like on side-by-side fields and took us to a third field, like a quarter mile down the road, to do a penalty shootout, and the whole tournament just followed.
Did you guys
Did you win?
Yeah, hit the game winner there.
Oh, no wonder you remember that.
Buried
What
the
was,
lead
what
here.
was your celebration? Like I asked this question 2 weeks ago.
I just ran over to like everyone. It was just like a mosh pit around the field.
There was no like crotch grab or anything like that.
No.
Wait, we call him
Let's-
Tommy
okay.
Vanilla for a reason.
So to my point, like, how do you schedule this if they're playing in opposite cities and then they're tied on everything and they didn't play each other in the last game?
Yeah, you finish up the match day and then you probably, well, it's in Switzerland. It's not going to be like totally.
Yeah, but is it like the same day as your last game? Is it the next day?
Listen, man,
gotta be a
I'm
next
not.
day.
What do I look like? The tournament commissioner? I'm just telling you what I saw. This has nothing to do with anything that we're talking about.
I really want to see this happen.
I like the idea, by the way. It's better than
Yeah.
didn't they do like a coin flip?
Either a coin flip or yellow cards, and yellow
Yeah.
cards aren't even a part of the. Like the fewest amount of yellow cards is the dumbest.
So stupid.
That's good. That was part of the World Cup qualification
Yeah.
at some point, tiebreaker, and that seems ridiculous to me.
Get rid of that nonsense. Other games, Palace beat Ipswich. No surprise there.
Potter
Tottenham. Already. Wait, Potter?
Yeah, Potter.
Oh, are we going to West Ham already?
I was just throwing it out there. I've got a little bit of ADD today. I apologize.
That game, by the way, was so boring. We're talking about the West Ham Newcastle game. Wow, that was like paint drying. Watching that game, Newcastle scored, and then West Ham tried to break down their low block for the entire second half and had zero clue how to do it. Zero. They just passed the ball side to side, to side to side, and then try and cross it and hit somebody. It was just maddening. Can't imagine what West Ham fans thought about that. I don't even think we need to talk about that game. We were
I don't
really
think we need to talk about it because I don't even know if we have any West Ham fan listeners. Like, I don't think any of
Yeah.
nobody in the Discord, which by the way is the best group chat ever. Sign up for Sam's Patreon if you haven't already. But
Do
like
it.
nobody's in there like banging on the iron drum. You know what I mean?
Why aren't you guys talking more about West Ham? Come on.
But yeah, nobody says that.
it's true. We've never got that. Spurs. Well, it felt like kind of a win, but we definitely did not win. We drew with Bournemouth 2-2. They went up 2-0. We showed a little backbone, bounced back in the second half. Yeah, that was not great. But honestly, I couldn't even muster like that much I don't know, anger about it, because it just doesn't matter to us at this point. Like, all that matters is staying healthy and winning Europa. That's it. Like, I'm going to say, I'll probably be saying this weekly for the next however many weeks till we get knocked out of Europa, and then I'll really be fucking up shit creek. But like, yeah, that's all that matters. Don't get hurt in the league and go win Europa.
I wonder if North Londoners and Spurs fans feel the same. Like, there's a level of pride that comes with winning Premier League games and not getting embarrassed, and like,
Oh, for sure,
not losing mid-table teams when you're a club of Spurs is like, I feel like that's and I'm not saying I wouldn't feel the same way if Liverpool, God forbid, was in the same situation ever as Spurs like that, but I think that's like an American. I think that's like an American mentality of like, yeah, like these games don't matter anymore. Like, what's the point?
Well, yeah, and probably a defense mechanism. So you guys, so I can basically head off any jokes you're going to make at the expense of Tottenham for the next however many months. Yeah, I mean, we want to win. It stinks when you don't win, but then I can just be like, okay, well, I guess it doesn't matter because we just need to win Europa.
Finishing in the bottom half is embarrassing.
Yeah. I mean, what are we in right now? 13th?
Yeah.
Oof. God, that's fucking.
Yo, Adam F has given you the business in the live chat, by the way, Sam. He said new record before the first mention of the injury excuse.
That was a Peter Griffin laugh out of Mitch right there, by the way.
All right, let's move on.
All right. I mean, like, any other games? Like I said, coming off that Arsenal United game, it feels like there's no drama here. Like, as somebody said in the group chat, maybe one of the bigger games of the weekend, from Premier League perspective anyway, was Wolves Everton. So Justin said it. I mean, Wolves and Everton at the bottom of the table fighting to make sure that they're not going to get drawn into that relegation battle. Yeah, you're right. That was sort of a more.
I'm not worried about either one of those teams getting
relegated. But just mathematically, I mean, that is more important than Arsenal, who is basically locked into second place or at least top 5, and United, who is basically locked out of top 5 and probably Europa period and Conference League. So I mean, I get the argument that Wolves Everton was more important. I agree. I don't know. It stinks. Kind of stinks. Anything else from this week?
I don't rate Bruno Guimaraes as a human. I don't think there's many more unlikable players in the league. I dislike him more than Bruno Fernandes. I dislike him more than, well, no, not many players.
As a player or as a human?
As a player. I don't like what he does on the field, and the fact that the soccer gods would reward him with a goal today feels gross. Just week in and week out, he is master of the dark arts. Is almost giving him too much credit. He's a participant in the dark arts, and it's just flies against the integrity of the game, and I don't want success for him. That's my only takeaway from that.
Wow, you dislike him more than Bruno?
Yeah.
Other Bruno.
No, I know.
Yeah.
No.
Interesting.
I can't co-sign that.
No, I trust me. I know you cannot.
I'm the president and CEO of that club.
I know he holds a special place in your heart.
Yeah. I didn't know that anybody else on the pod had the ability to have these like very almost inexplicable but very strong hatreds for individuals.
That's such a bad thing to say about me.
I didn't know. Mikey's the one.
I thought that Tyler was the only one to have these types of irrational thoughts on the podcast.
No. Listen, you have a lot of irrational thoughts. I don't think you have irrational hatreds. I understand where your dislike for Bruno Fernandes comes from, and I don't know if you have any other sort of burning hatreds for any. Mikey has these just out of left field. He'll be like, I fucking hate that guy. Like, it's just like, what? Wait, where did that come from? And that's what I felt like with Mitch right there. Just out of nowhere, Bruno Guimaraes. I fucking hate this guy.
It was a thought that had come to mind watching that game, and I needed to get it off my chest.
Okay, good. Hey, listen, it's good. I'm learning more about you with every passing podcast. Yeah, I guess that's about it for the week. A quick shout out to Brighton Fulham. That game was a lot of fun. The last second penalty that Fulham conceded, that sucks. It was like one of those ones where the guy thought he had the ball and he's trying to clear it, and João Pedro just just quintessential striker move. Just stick your foot in, know you're about to get kicked. Very shrewd move, and won him the points. So yeah, Brighton and Fulham, those are two good teams. I think I say that every week. But Brighton, by the way, we're going to get to the weekend preview coming up. Brighton go to Manchester City, having won 6 straight games immediately after that 0-7 drubbing by Nottingham Forest, which is kind of an interesting little run of form. But before we get to that, let's do FPL leaderboard check, where I believe, unless something crazy happened. Yep. So I won the week on the Sam's Army Council of Elders, 77 points. I know you guys haven't been updated quite yet, but I know everybody had Isak other than me, and Isak didn't really do anything today. So we are now 1 through 5, Mikey, Tommy, me, Tyler, and Mitchell. And this is a reminder, probably way too early. Mitch and Tyler, you probably want to change your teams next week.
Thanks for that.
Think about it. At the top of the Sam's Army Podcast League is still longtime number 1 participant Fraser Connor with Major League Soccer. Rob Carey is in second with Cunnerlingus. Magnets, Patrick Kelly in third. No Hair, No Mo, Christopher Frost, and Team Zizou, Sam Robertson, is in 5th. I feel like we've had the same top 5 now for basically like a month. I wonder if they're going to just stay like that. Still kind of, there's only 11 points between 1st and 2nd, so there's still plenty to play for. All right, weekend preview. Should we start with the only cup final, or the first cup final on deck here? Liverpool hosting Newcastle in the make-believe Carabao Cup. And unfortunately, this game would be a lot more interesting if Newcastle didn't just pick up like 3 injuries / suspensions over the last couple weeks. So I do think that is going to have a big say in this game. Anthony Gordon is missing, I know, because of the stupid red card he got last weekend. And I know there's a couple injuries that Newcastle are dealing with at the back. Hall is definitely injured. I don't know. Tyler, is this one you're basically just counting on, the first trophy of the season?
Yeah, but if I could sign up to lose it to ensure Champions League, then I would in a heartbeat. I mean, like, I just will never forget, the 22 season and being up for the quadruple and only coming away with the FA Cup and Moose Cup. Felt like a failure. Like, genuinely felt like a failure. So, yeah, I guess these are fun. I don't know.
Fun little trinket. Yeah, I mean, who else? So, Botman. So Newcastle's also missing Botman. So yeah, a lot of big misses there for Newcastle. I mean, they have Isak, so when you have Isak, there's always a chance. But yeah, Liverpool, they're gonna be tough to beat. Other games. Now we already teased this, a couple of them anyway. So Arsenal. Well, that's not one of the ones we teased, but we have a couple London derbies. Arsenal hosts Chelsea, and Fulham host Fulham hosts Spurs. Manchester City hosts Brighton, and this is a Brighton team, 6 straight wins coming off that 0-7 loss at Forest. And then Southampton Wolves, which I put down because the Wolves win that game. I already said this last week, but they didn't beat Everton. If they beat Southampton, I mean, it feels like inevitable at this point that we already have the 3 locked in that are going down. But anyway, I put it down there because it seems like a game that if Southampton is going to win one at home against Wolves, might be one of the ones they could do it. Tommy, looking at the weekend, what are you most interested in?
Probably FA Cup more so than anything, to be honest. But I think from
you mean Leagues Cup, by the way?
Sorry, is that the one that Newcastle played Liverpool?
Yeah, Leagues Cup final. Yeah,
that final. But for me, it's Bournemouth Brentford. I think that has the chance to be back and forth, open. 2 teams I like watching. So to your point earlier about like Arsenal v Man United not being a fun watch for the season, I am banking on Bournemouth Brentford being a better watch than Arsenal Chelsea this weekend.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, Bournemouth and wait, who are they playing? Bournemouth Brighton?
Brentford.
Okay. Arsenal Chelsea. Mitch, do you any thoughts on that one?
No.
I think that bit about sums it up, to be honest. Any other games? Any other games standout period?
City Brighton will be interesting, I think. Like you mentioned, Brighton 7 wins in a row off of that thrashing that they had. Like, it's a hell of a run for them. And I've always said that Brighton seem to be kind of a mirror of whoever they play. Like, I feel like they play to the standard of whichever team they're playing against. So that'll be a fun one. I can't think of a game I want to watch less than Leicester United. I think I would actually rather sit in front of the television with it turned off than watch Leicester United.
Yeah, it's the marquee game too on Sunday, 2:00
for it.
I don't know if marquee is actually the right word, but it's on Sunday after the League Cup final. I guess sloppy seconds.
There's some good rest of the world matchups if you want some of those shouts. There's PSG Marseille, there's Atalanta Inter, there's Atletico Barca. All those games are on Sunday. Those are some nice fun around the world games.
Good shouts. I know RBL and Dortmund play each other in Germany as well. Okay. Yeah, we'll leave it there. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I feel strangely, and maybe this is again my defense mechanism kicking in, where it's like, well, Spurs have nothing to play for. It just feels like this season is there's no drama, there's no juice. I don't know. Am I the only one that feels that way?
Wait till the last day. I think wait till the last match week when the top 4 race or top 5, depending on what coefficient, however that works out. But like, wait till that last couple weeks. I think the drama will start to heat up, and we'll feel like, oh, this is actually kind of a fun Premier League season. Like, we know the top and bottom are settled, but the fun part about this league is that there's still a lot to play for. So give it some time. I think let it marinate.
I'm not saying that there won't be any sort of drama, there won't be any interest at all, but like, we're in mid-March and it just feels like there's nothing, not a lot grabbing you. So
because you're in the basement. It's because you're
well, there's that
all
true.
the way down there.
It's true. We're looking up at everybody. All right, move to halftime, where we will start with a quick shout out to our friends over at Arc Designs. Tyler, hit us with it.
Yep. So another one of those offers from our great partners over at Arc Designs that is going to expire soon. They re-signed up with us because you guys are awesome. I've been buying some coasters. Looks like people are using that special toggle on their website, www.arcdesigns.com. Or if they don't have a stadium of your choosing, again, 3D laser engraved coasters with your sort of bird's eye view of your blueprint of your favorite sports stadium. If they don't have it there, you can customize it and say, hey, I want, the Emirates. Have the Emirates, I'm telling you. But just for the example, and they'll make it for you. And the customer service is fantastic. Small family-run company out of Cincinnati, Ohio, out of Loveland, actually, where me and my fiance and our dog live. But yeah, they've been awesome partners, and this is going away soon. But head over to arcdesigns.com, get your coaster, get your table, get your laser engraved calendar for you and your partner, or whoever you're living at home with, and set the whole thing up. Be organized, dominate the day, as some might say. Sam25 is the discount code to use and get 10% off of your order. But thank you to Arc Designs.
Shout out Arc Designs. All right. We are in the Round the World segment where we're ready. I got a minute of satisfaction coming, minute of happiness, minute of joy from the Minuteman himself. MLS Hit It and Quit It minute. Tyler, give it to us.
All right, so let's start with the early game on Saturday in Columbus, Ohio. Snooze fest between Wilfred Nancy's side and Ben Olsen. 0-0 is the final score. Now let's head over to the Pacific Northwest, where Seattle once again get the better of LAFC. They hadn't beaten them in 10 tries up until the conference semifinal last year. And then this one, where Jordan Morris becomes the all-time leading goal scorer for Seattle. They win by a score of 5-2. Over in Foxborough, Massachusetts, Philadelphia continue to be red hot. They have not dropped a single point. Ty Baribo ties the most goals in the opening 3 games for a Major League Soccer player. 2-0 is the final score in favor of the Union. Meanwhile, in our nation's capital, DC United take care of business against Sporting Kansas City. They came from behind to win that game by a score of 2-1. Over in the Big Apple, NYCFC beat up on Orlando City by a score of 2-1, despite a red card from the Pigeons. Meanwhile, over in the ATL, with that $50 million front line with Emmanuel Latte-Lot leading the charge, no goals once again. That's 2 games in a row where they've been held scoreless. Red Bulls did a good job of mucking the game up at Mercedes-Benz. Nothing to be said in that game. Meanwhile, Down 71 from Columbus, we find ourselves in beautiful Cincinnati, Ohio, where yours truly was on the call. Kevin Denke on the score sheet yet again, and Yu Yakubo with the exclamation point. Toronto FC, a woeful side at the moment. Robert Frazier's got some things to sort out on top of some injuries. 2-0 is your final score at TQL. Meanwhile, over in Austin, Texas, Nico Estevez and company got to figure it out as well. Colorado Rapids come away with a 1-0 win. Raja Navarro coming away with the goal. Meanwhile, Music City, Nashville 2, Portland 0. Phil Neville's squad up and down, nothing new. Over in Texas, FC Dallas had a 1-0 lead against Chicago, and we've seen this story so many times before. Chicago would usually give up the second goal or find a way to give the game away, but no, 3 unanswered goals, 3 in the second half, and Chris Brady coming up with a penalty kick save on Petar Musa late in the game. Chicago win their first game in the Triple G era. Over in the Pacific Northwest, just a little bit north of Seattle, we find ourselves in Vancouver for a 2-0 win in favor of the Whitecaps over their Canadian compatriots, CF Montreal. And somehow Vancouver continued to get it done. They and Philly are at the top of the West and Eastern Conference respectively, but Ryan Gauld went down with an injury. Although what I heard, and this is inside information for Sam's Army because I had a conversation with Jesper Sorensen just earlier today, it is not as serious as they thought. He should only be out for 2 to 3 weeks, but they're still evaluating him. All ligaments are intact. Good news for Ryan Gauld, who's one of the best players in MLS. Over in Real Salt Lake, San Diego FC continue to cruise. 3-1 winners over RSL. Anders Dreyer with the game winner. And then San Jose finally dropping points against who else? My Minnesota United Loons. No, they're not mine. They're not yours, but they're definitely somebody's. But they come away with the win. And then on Sunday, Inter Miami, despite getting a red card, Ustari was sent off late in the first half. Wilfred Zaha drew the red card. They somehow find a win to win the game. Allende and Suarez combined for a beautiful goal. Inter Miami won. Charlotte 0. Charlotte, it's Dean Smith football. It's a little, not for me. LA Galaxy, meanwhile, at home, they have lost 3 straight games. That is a new record for a team that hoisted the MLS Cup just a few months ago, and the first team to ever lose their first 3 out of the gate after hosting MLS Cup. St. Louis City scored their first goal, and then 2 more. Marcel Hartle, Toyshirt, and Simon Betcher all on the score sheet for Olaf Melberg's first win in Major League Soccer, and that would do it for match day number 3.
Good. Well done, sir. Running us around there. Do you think it is, you mentioned San Diego FC. Does this feel like something that they're going to be able, is this like are they going to be able to keep this up?
I kind of get the feeling that like granted, I don't think RSL is a very good team. But I think that they're going to be okay. I actually think that they'll be a playoff team. Will they finish in the top 4? Probably not. But you also got to see what they do with that last designated player spot. If they bring in Kevin De Bruyne, then I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, good shout. By the way, we actually forgot our halftime. We'll get to that in just a second. We're gonna do a delayed halftime for this episode. But before we move out of the Round the World segment, quickly we got to go to Champions League, where we have the second leg of the round of 16 fixtures coming up this week. And most of these games are close. Not all. Certainly not all. We got a 7-1 game. Arsenal just hung it on PSV, and that was actually in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. So, is PSV is in Eindhoven? Never mind that. Anyway, it was in the Netherlands. So that fixture is done and dusted. Bayern Munich, we'll see. They're up 3-0 going to Leverkusen. I don't know if that's,
I think they're okay.
Yeah,
they're looking good. Aston Villa heading home 3-1. And then Inter heading home up 2-0. So other than those, we got Dortmund and Lille at 1-1. Real Madrid 2-1 up on Atletico Madrid. Benfica down 0-1 on Barcelona, who played with 10 men for most of that game. Quite a game. And then PSG, one of the most strangest results of the week. PSG losing at home to Liverpool 1-0 in a game that, they could have scored 17 goals.
One of the best goalkeeping performances probably since Thibaut Courtois against Liverpool in the final. Although I think Alisson's is probably better.
Oh, come on. Round of 16 game versus a final?
No. Well,
he's
hold on
just talking performance.
I'm just talking about level of performance and the level of, how many 1v1 saves did he make and how many it was, Courtois, I think, had 8 or 9 saves, but a lot of them were
shots in traffic. Yep. I got you. Yep.
So let's start with that game, the reverse fixture here, coming back to Anfield. PSG, other than the finishing, they had a great game, and it lived up to all the billing of like Liverpool. How is it that they got stuck with PSG in this game? All those complaints were sort of fair, even though it was obviously just luck. How nervous are you going into this game?
Well, now I'm not nervous at all. If we were going to PSG only up 1-0, I think I would be shitting my pants a little bit. But Anfield on those European nights, man, it's just different gravy. I mean, I'm not just saying this because PSG did this to us, but like anybody who's been watching PSG for the past several weeks, like I'd put them up against any team in Europe. Like I genuinely think that they're a top 4 team in Europe right now. I mean, it's Liverpool, Madrid, Barcelona, and PSG. I really would put them up against anybody.
And Mitch asked this in the Discord earlier on one of the daily polls. Dembele might be, if not number one, like top 3 player in the world right now.
I think comfortably, yeah, top 3 player right now. Yep.
So that game, in terms of which game I'm most interested in, Liverpool PSG at Anfield, that's got to be number 1 for me.
This is a big week for PSG. You have that game, and then they, like, to your point, like they're undefeated in the league, and they play Marseille this weekend, who's second.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big week for them. Like,
it's big week, but they're up like 16 points on
yeah,
Marseille
it's not a big
dude,
week.
I want to finish. I want to finish
They were
undefeated.
undefeated in the league. Oh,
yeah. I want to finish undefeated if I'm in the league, and
yes,
that's your biggest competitor after Champions League, home and away. Like,
it's not a big week for Liverpool with a final and then a second leg up 1-0.
I mean, yes, it is, but we've already won. We've already talked about it, and you're not undefeated, so fuck you.
Shut up and let me make this about me.
I mean,
I get it. You've already won the title. Yes, I know.
All right. Now, outside of PSG, Liverpool, which I think is going to be a great game, and I'd be a little nervous. I was Liverpool. What game stands out to you, Mitch?
The Madrid Derby, of course. The PSG Liverpool is kind of in a class of its own, but that Madrid Derby, that first leg was a fun one, and second one I think is promising to be the same. I don't know who's at home.
The Atletico is.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Madrid going at Real Madrid going to Atletico Madrid up 2-1. That'll be a fun one. Yep. Yeah.
I like goals in that one. Arsenal PSV, that one's decided. Lille and Dortmund. It's too bad we don't have our designated Dortmund speaker.
That's my game outside of Liverpool PSG.
Okay, what do you think? So they're going to Lille. Game's tied 1-1, or the fixture is 1-1. What do you see in this one?
I think this could be the most like up and back game. I also am a fan of Europe not doing daylight savings for my work day. I know it's not the same as everyone else's. This allows me to watch more of the game, the 1:45 kick. So I'm a big fan of that. And I think like Dortmund doesn't have much going for in the league right now. I'm not sure where Lille is in the league. Okay, they're 5th as well, tied for 4th with Monaco. Like this is a big tie for both of them, and I think they are, contrary to PSG and Liverpool and maybe some other teams, this is their main priority by a million miles. So they're all going to expend the most energy possible for this game. So it could be specifically the last 15 minutes of this game, and if it goes to extra time, could be really fun.
I was a little disappointed with the first leg of that matchup. I thought it was going to be a little more sort of action, and I know first legs, kind of hit and miss sometimes, but yeah, I think that second leg should be a lot of fun. Benfica Barcelona will be interesting. Barcelona's heading home up 1-0. They played most of that first leg down a man, so obviously they're going to be big favorites. But Benfica, never know. Obviously they played a few months ago, and I think it was 5-4 or 4-3. So hopefully we get another one of those. Is that about it? That's about it. Quickly, I mentioned this before, but this week is make or break for some other teams, namely Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur in Europa. So on Thursday, we got Manchester United going home and playing Real Sociedad. They're even 1-1 at the moment. That game is just absolutely massive from a financial perspective, as well as just sort of, cachet. Same thing with Tottenham. Tottenham is down 1-0, heading home to play AZ Alkmaar in a game that we just have to win. This is the only thing these two teams got going for us at the moment. If either one of them crash out at this point, wow, just a disastrous season has just gone
Who's more
next
likely?
level.
Who's more likely to lose that fixture?
I mean, it's got to be Tottenham. I feel good about like I feel actually very confident going into this game, but like we're down a goal. We've not been playing well. You know, who knows exactly who's going to be available. So if one of the two, I would just say Tottenham, but then of course Manchester United, have they been playing well? Not really. I think they both go through.
Okay.
I think both United and Spurs get through. Any disagreement?
I think neither of them get through.
Oh.
I think you both lose.
Oh.
One of them gets through. I don't know who.
Neither of them.
I think we both get through.
I don't think two of the most inconsistent teams, and I mean, not even United's not even inconsistent. They're just bad.
That's fair. All right. Now it's halftime. Latest halftime in this show's history. We got a weekly what if related to the World Cup. It was a big week last week for Infantino bombs. That man loves getting his name in the headlines. Last week it was two things. Number one, he admitted that that FIFA might consider expanding the World Cup 2030 to 64 teams. So as I think most people know at this point, the 2026 World Cup is going to be 48 teams here in the US / Canada and Mexico. So he's already talking about expanding it to 64, which is.
Did he admit it? Did he admit it, or was it just simply proposed by that Uruguayan dude?
So it was proposed. I think I saw that he said that, yeah, we're gonna look into this, or we're gonna whatever. It seemed like to me it seemed like
it wasn't off the table. Yeah,
it wasn't off the table, but also to me it felt like the fact he was acknowledging it was his way of just sort of sending out a trial balloon and seeing what the feedback would be.
Yeah.
You know, that was my take on it.
Because everybody knows Gianni Infantino cares about fan feedback.
Man of the people.
Fair enough. But I think you got to lay a foundation before you drop something that bomb on them like that. So that actually is a big one to me. And just in terms of like changing something that is borderline perfect right now in the 32 team World Cup. But I'm cognizant of, you know, when people were watching the World Cup back and it was 16 teams and this sort of thing, they were probably saying the same thing when they talked about expanding to 62. So I'm trying to keep an open mind on that. Biggest nothing burger of the week, but it got a lot of headlines, was when Infantino said that they are going to, for the first time ever, have a halftime show in the World Cup final of 2026 World Cup. This is the one in MetLife in New York, New Jersey. And of course, like the internet did what the internet does and got angry. And of course, we're blaming somehow the U.S. got blamed. Like this is our fault. Like we did something to bring about this halftime show.
We absolutely did.
I mean,
we're the only country in the world that has halftime performances at sporting shows.
But we're not. It's not our decision to change. First of all, I don't really think this is a big deal. Do you?
No. But
okay.
to say it's not an American thing, it's the most.
Oh, halftime shows are an American thing, but it wasn't America that like took like a vote and said, yeah, let's change everything up in the soccer world and have a halftime show.
That the final will be played on American soil empowers decisions like that to be made. That's all I'll say.
Right. And listen, at the end of the day, there's money to be made, and that's exactly why this is happening. FIFA, Infantino only care about money. So our weekly what if is related to that. If you were running this this halftime show at the 2026 World Cup final, Tyler, who would you have as the hosts, the guests, the big ticket bands?
Shakira, hard stop.
That's it.
Hard stop.
Interesting.
It'll have been 16 years since she was the face of the 2010 World Cup, and she gets everybody in the world going. She is soccer. Like
got it.
Yeah.
I don't know if PK would like that. I feel like save her for 2030 when is Colombia one of those? No, she's not. Okay, never mind. Fair enough. Mitch, who you got?
I've actually given this a fair bit of thought. You can't have like a Coldplay. I can't. I don't want to see Imagine Dragons up there, and I also don't.
Oh, Coldplay and Imagine Dragons. Those are not apples to apples. Coldplay sells out like football stadiums. Imagine Dragons can't sell out in my mom's basement.
They sound the same to me. All of you people look the same to me. That's
First of all, when I told you what my footballing ability musician spirit animal was, I said it was Mumford Sons. I did not say it was Imagine Dragons. All right, it's a different kind of white people music.
Okay, I'll give you that Mumford and Sons and Imagine Dragons are different, but to me, Coldplay and Imagine Dragons are still in the same bucket, regardless of what size stadiums they sell.
Oh, disrespectful!
But I think you're really doing the nation a disservice of having like Coldplay as the face of American music. I think you go with somebody who is not a name that equals the World Cup stage. She's a DJ. She goes by the name of Zulan. Zulan. Shut up and listen to me. Shut up and listen to me. She wears soccer kits for every single one of her sets. And what a DJ does is it gives you the flexibility to not just play one artist's set list, but rather get an entire stadium excited with a beat and not one song. It would be a very short show performance, but it would be fun for everybody. It would be music that everybody can enjoy, and it would be an artist that is in need of some attention. And I think it would fit perfectly. I'll send you the info. I'll send you her Instagram. She is phenomenal. She actually played in New York 2 days ago, and I thought about going by myself, but I was just too tired. She's phenomenal, and this is my official beginning of my campaign to get Zulan to perform at the World Cup halftime show.
What is this, an open mic? She needs recognition. This is the motherfucking World Cup final. This isn't some like go and try out some music at a dive bar in the West Village in New York. Like, what are we talking
about? You asked the guy that lives in Brooklyn. What do you want me to say?
That's fair. That's a fair point.
That's so ridiculous.
Listen to her music first. And
it's not her music. She's a DJ.
She makes her own music as well.
Oh gosh. Where's
a tough act to follow.
Where's the final again?
MetLife.
Bruce?
That would be sweet. I would like to think that you're tapping into like a New York artist or an artist that favors New York. Taylor Swift.
Is she a New York artist? I thought she's like Nashville.
I'm being ridiculed for saying a DJ should perform, and Tommy's like, Taylor Swift? What?
I like Taylor Swift, and she's a fucking global superstar. Who is Zulan, and why does she deserve a chance to put her name out there?
Because her music's good, and she's soccer adjacent. Taylor Swift doesn't know the first thing about soccer. She's an investor in a soccer club. You ever seen her at a game?
She doesn't need to be at a game. When was the last time Patrick Mahomes was at a game? When was the last time Aaron Rodgers, Giannis was at a game? James Harden.
Oh, jeez. Is Jay-Z, like, is he a no persona non grata, right? Has he been canceled over
prospectively? I don't think Jay-Z would play.
All right. I think if there's some
Noah Khan. He's a big soccer fan.
I love that call.
That is the most realistic middle ground between all four of us right now. I'm not gonna lie.
That's still white people music that you are bashing on.
Yeah, but it's younger white people music.
Oh my god.
What about this? If I had one person who would want that gig, Drake. Drake he's basically been shit on left and right and center. If you could get the halftime gig, I feel like that'd be a comeback.
Yeah, I can see that.
I could also see it happening.
I think he does the opening Canada game, the finals in America.
Okay, that makes sense. He's got to be involved somehow. He's got to be thinking he needs minor. Kendrick Lamar was just a minor setback for a big comeback.
Sam, what's yours?
I would say Drake.
Okay.
He's more of a Garth Brooks guy.
Is he still
Frank? When we started talking about New York artists, he immediately thought about his childhood hero, Frank Sinatra.
God damn these ageist jokes.
Listen to him back at prom. Oh, memories.
We got a comment in the. I can't actually put it up. I've seen Zulan's stuff, but I don't know how well that would work at the World Cup final.
Mayan, you come to a Zulan show with me in Brooklyn, I'll change your mind.
Change your world. Change your worldview. All right, let's head to stoppage time, where we will start with Ivan Toney's best bets.
You should put
got
that
the hat
hat lower next
Lower,
time.
like-
So you're reaching down here instead of doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Whoops.
Boy, was it hot in Chicago today?
Well, I've talked about this before. I have to close all the doors,
Yeah,
otherwise
okay.
it's too loud and it gets hot. And
No,
yes,
but-
it is warm in Chicago today.
What, like 50 degrees? You're sweating bullets over there, man.
60s.
It was like 60s and sunny in New York today too. I had my tits out on the roof. It was sweet.
Yeah,
Listening
65.
listening to some Zulan with your tits out.
Don't knock it till you try it.
All right, listen, we're Ivan Toney's best bet time. Overtrain, tough week. It was first down week in a while. We had 2 wins, 3 losses. Not great, but these are the weeks that sort of make me, it's like a cold splash of water. Time to refresh. Remember why I do this? It's to give the people some money. So we are back. I'm focused. I'm ready to come back and give you guys some winners. So Overtrain, we're going to go 5-a-side Wednesday through Sunday, 1 a day. All these games are going over. We're starting on Wednesday, where Corinthians play Barcelona SC in a Libertadores qualifier second leg. Might talk about Barcelona's coach later on in the program. That one's going to go over. Corinthians are going home down 3-0, by the way. Thursday, Rangers host Fenerbahce in the Europa round of 16 second leg. Rangers head back to Glasgow, up 3-1 on Fenerbahce. So that game is going to be a fun one. Friday, we're going to Bundesliga 2, Magdeburg hosting Hamburger. Saturday, by the way, Chicago Fire is a must bet in the Overtrain at the moment. So I'm giving them my Saturday slot. Toronto FC hosting Chicago Fire on Saturday night. That one's going over. And then Sunday, we're going to Switzerland, the Challenger League, which is the second division. Xamax, one of the coolest names out there, by the way. Xamax. Love that name. Xamax is hosting Stade Lyonnais in Switzerland. All right. Tommy, what do you got for us in Ivan Toney's best bet this week?
I got PSG to tie both their games this week.
Interesting. And you parlay those together. Wow. I wonder what kind of odds you're going to get. I'll check on that. Actually, my book won't let me do that. Never mind. They won't let me go 2 games, same team. Okay. So that's Liverpool and Marseille at the weekend for people who weren't paying attention earlier. Mitch, who you got? Ivan Toney's best bet.
I got 4 games. These are all going to be on Saturday. Sorry, Sunday. NYCFC versus New England Revolution. NYCFC money line. Real Madrid versus Villarreal. Real Madrid money line. Both teams to score in Leipzig Dortmund. Both teams to score in City Brighton. Altogether plus 700.
Weak.
Oh, what plus 4,300 do you have for us this evening?
Listen, Zulan, it's plus 2,000. Okay, it's not that bad. Liverpool money. This is all Champions League. Liverpool money line, draw between Leverkusen and Bayern, and then Dortmund money line for a cool 2016.
These are all Champions League games?
Yes.
Okay. How close did you come to hitting your ridiculous parlay last week?
Not close. No, Cincy and Vancouver both won.
Okay.
I got the Liverpool one felt like the big win just because of how the game went on, but that actually was the lowest odds.
Yeah. Funny how that works. You were excited about it going into the weekend, so
I was. Well, I also, but the other thing too is that like I've been doing this thing with the MLS, and I skipped it this week, and I do apologize. Where I'm taking a guess. I'm not actually putting money down on MLS games because I'm not a lunatic, but I take a guess at what I think is going to hit. But I didn't know Toronto was going to have an entire back line missing for that game against Cincinnati, and they put out a wooden spoon worthy starting 11. So anyway.
Fair enough. All right, we will head to everybody's favorite segment, GOAWs. Whew. I got some interesting ones this week, but I don't want to take your guys. So why don't we go? You, Mitch, you're looking at me, so I assume you're ready to go. Who you got?
Sure. I found it. I lost it for a little bit, and I found it again. My goa this week is head coach Pinar Concha. She manages a team in the Turkish league. I am not going to attempt to pronounce the team name, but she was serving a suspension for getting dismissed from the field the game before. And so she decided to coach her team from atop the team bus in the following game. She is standing on top of the team bus, looking into the field and like running up and down the team bus, yelling directions. I'll send you guys the link in the Discord. It just phenomenal scenes and phenomenal dedication. And like her team ended up winning that game. Great. Love that.
Was there no like I don't know, sort of after the fact you were coaching and you were suspended? There was no.
I didn't look into the repercussions all that much. I saw somebody on a bus and I didn't think too much about it.
All right, fair enough. It's a good shout. Who you got for us, Tommy?
Someone in this chat and in the Discord sent me a potential goa this week, and I'm not going to use it. My shout out Adam. I was going to use it until about 12 hours ago. It is a good one, so I'll give a secondary shout out.
Give him an honorable mention. Who was it?
Yeah, I'll give an honorable mention next week.
If everybody gave honorable mentions like you, Sam, nobody would fucking go home. We'd be on this podcast for 9 hours.
No, it's Sir Jim Ratcliffe for opening him and Manchester United up to some ridiculous scrutiny this week, and Gary Neville proposing an idea to cover the costs of the budget cuts for the staff around lunch by saying, hey, why don't you just like bring Harry Maguire and Bruno Fernandes to a charity event, have someone bid on a potential lunch with them or to sit at the table with them for that gala, and you make your 40K right there, and you don't have to cut the lunch for your staff. And Ratcliffe kind of just like looks away, looks back at him and goes, that's a good idea. I wish someone had recommended that to me. So yeah, that was not going to be my goa because it was going to be someone who proposed one in the chat, but then 12 hours ago this happened, and so I had to change it.
All right. And that was the real goa, not the honorable mention.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Tyler?
My honorable mention goes out to, not my honorable mention, my goa goes out to, and this has nothing to do with the game that I called this weekend, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Any team that is hoarding their starting 11 like it is some government state motherfucking secret until 45 minutes before kickoff and not giving it to the broadcasters like every other single coach, there is a direct correlation between the teams that keep their starting 11s and act as if you release them, the world will go into nuclear arms race, and then the ones who actually just give it up because, number one, they trust us, and number two, because nobody cares what your starting 11 is other than us, and nobody's actually making any tactical adjustments. So not naming names, but if you're holding on to it for that long, kick rocks and go scratch, because it's too much. I can't. And all those teams suck for what it's worth. All of them suck. And they have.
How far in advance do you usually get a starting 11?
80% of the time, or if they're not giving it to us on the call, which is match day -2.
No. How far in advance? Like 2 hours?
Give it to me 8 hours in advance, 6 hours in advance,
Wait,
3 hours in advance.
They give it to you that early?
I get it from some coaches on Thursday before a Saturday game.
But they'll tell you in conversation.
Word for word, line for line, we're lining up in a 4-3-3. Here's what it looks like. Roman Celentano in goal. Lucas Engel.
I get that, but like some coaches don't name their team till like the morning of or something. To the player.
Sure.
So
but then the communication staff will wait for it, communicate once they do decide on match day -1 or on the game day that they're just going to give us the starting 11, and it just makes our jobs that much more difficult to try to.
So they're giving it to you, knowing that you
not even the legal time amount, which is an hour before kickoff. It's not released on their Twitter until 45 to 50 minutes before kickoff. And I'm telling you, all of those teams are garbage and usually at the bottom of the table who operate like that. I'm just telling you. I'm telling you. There's a direct correlation.
Do you think, when like in Europe, some of these lineups get released offhand beforehand? Do you think this is how, or it's some other way?
No, because we're no other broadcast entity gets access to coaches like we do.
Okay.
So no, that's not how they're released. That's somebody literally selling their information. Like, and I'm not going out and tweeting it or texting it to Tom Bogert, being like, "Oh my God, look what Toronto's lining up in today." Nobody gives a shit.
Fair.
I like the idea of you leaking like very unimportant information.
Oh my God, Zane Monlouis is making his first start in Major League Soccer today.
I love the fact. I wonder how long you've been sitting on this like little pet peeve.
Since Saturday night.
All right, I'll leave it there. My honorable mention for this week is going to Millwall fans who stood up and clapped in the 8th minute of their game on Tuesday against Bristol City to pay homage to their fallen goalkeeper, Liam Roberts, which is, a nice gesture to do for one of your players since he could not play in the game due to, let me check my notes here. Oh, it was because he was suspended for trying to decapitate Jean-Philippe Mateta in their FA Cup game against Crystal Palace. Like, just, are you serious? Like, I get it. Millwall has this rep and they're trying to, stick with it. But like singing, Let Him Die while he's on a stretcher being taken to the hospital. And then like giving this, great homage to a keeper who tried to kill a guy. Like, Jesus. I mean, come on. I get trolling. I'm one of the world's biggest trolls. I respect trolling, but I don't know, whatever. Anyway, my actual Goa for the week, and actually shout out Adam F. This was my Goa as of a couple days ago, but he just put it in the Discord chat. So his brain, my brain, were together on this. Gabriel Montaña. So Gabriel was suspended for 2 years by the Bolivian FA because it turns out that 20-year-old Gabriel Montaña is actually 25-year-old Diego Montaña. So Gabriel, who was Diego's little brother, Gabriel passed away at some point in the past. I don't know when, but his 5 years older brother, Diego, essentially stole his identity and started playing as someone 5 years younger. And his club, Club Aurora, by the way, who anybody who has been following around along with Best Bets and Overtrain for a while, you will know about Club Aurora in Bolivia. They score some goals and they get scored on a lot. Apparently his club knew all about this, about his, stolen identity, him being 5 years older than he really said. So he's been suspended for 2 years. Several people at the club have been suspended for 3 years, and the club itself got docked 33 points for the season, which is quite a lot. And by the way, this guy, Diego Montaña, he's no scrub. He got called into the Bolivian national team. So like, he's a real player, just 5 years older than everybody thought he was. So shout out to Gabriel Montaña and everybody over at Club Aurora who let him get away with that. Quite a move. All right, there we go. We are done. Everybody, I think there might be coming an NCAA bracket pool. We've done that in years past, so stay tuned for that. And that's all we got this week. Mitchell, Tommy, Tyler, you guys are beautiful. Love you as always. Everybody in the Discord chat, everybody following along on Sam's Patreon, Sam's Army Patreon. You guys are the best. If you're not on it, get on the Patreon now. And we will see you guys next week. Bigger, better, faster, stronger. There we go.